Hello everyone, welcome to Sam's Summaries. This episode is a deep dive discussion into Sam Fury's summary of the book Everyday Ikigai by Sam Fury. It has been created with the help of AI. You can read the original summary at samfury.com.
All right, so today we're going to be diving into something I think a lot of you are going to find pretty fascinating. It's this Japanese concept called Ikigai.
Yeah.
And it's all about finding your purpose and kind of just living a more joyful life.
Yeah.
And we're going to be looking at the book Everyday Ikigai by Sam Fury to kind of unpack some of these key insights.
Okay, cool.
Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely. Ikigai is something that I think a lot of people have maybe a little bit of a misconception about.
Right.
It's often thought of as just, finding your dream job.
Yeah.
But it's so much more than that. It's
Right.
really a holistic approach to life. And Fury does a great job of breaking it down in the book.
Yeah, no, totally. And I was surprised to learn that there's actually science that backs this up too.
Right.
Like having a sense of Ikigai can actually impact things like, brain activity, stress levels,
Yeah.
even how you make decisions.
Yeah, it makes sense if you think about it. When you're living in alignment with your Ikigai, you're more likely to feel, more motivated and energized. And that has ripple effects across all different areas of your life.
That's so cool. So how does this whole Ikigai thing actually work? Is there like a magic formula or something?
Well, there's no magic spell,
Okay.
but there is a framework.
Yeah,
The core idea is to try to find that sweet spot
Okay.
where four key elements intersect.
Okay.
So those elements are your passions, your talents, what the world needs,
Okay.
and then what you can actually get paid for. And you can almost visualize it like a Venn diagram with those four overlapping circles.
Okay. I can picture that. But realistically speaking, do all four of those things always have to be like perfectly in sync?
Yeah, that's a great point.
It's almost impossible.
It's not really about achieving perfect balance all the time.
Right.
Life is fluid, things change.
Correct.
It's more about striving for that harmony and just recognizing that those elements are going to kind of ebb and flow
Yeah.
throughout your journey.
So it's like a journey, not a destination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about constantly exploring and reflecting
Right.
and adjusting as you grow and evolve.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So where do we even begin with this whole Venn diagram thing?
Okay.
I'm already feeling lost.
Oh, well, let's start with that first circle,
Okay.
passion,
Okay.
and just ask yourself, what truly lights me up? What are those activities that just make me completely lose track of time?
Okay.
And don't hold back. Just write down anything that comes to mind, even if it seems silly.
Got it. So for me, it would be things like, writing or learning new languages and like geeking out over history documentaries.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So now let's move to that second circle, which is talents.
Okay.
So what are you naturally good at? What do people often compliment you on? Again, even if it seems obvious or simple, just write it down.
Okay. Let's see. I'm pretty good at explaining complex things in a simple way. I can usually connect with people pretty easily.
Yeah.
And I'm a decent cook, I guess.
So you have some great talents.
Okay.
So now the third circle,
Okay.
what the world needs.
Right.
This one can be a little bit more challenging, but think about
Yeah.
the issues that really get you fired up.
Yeah.
What problems in the world do you really wish you could solve?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of positive change do you want to see?
I've always been really passionate about education
Okay.
and making sure that everyone has access to learning, regardless of, their background or their circumstances. And honestly, like, who doesn't want to make the world a little kinder and more compassionate?
Those are wonderful aspirations. And then finally, that fourth circle,
Okay.
what you can get paid for.
Right. The practical stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is where that practicality comes in.
Mm-hmm.
What skills do you have that, people are actually willing to pay for?
Well, I get paid to host this podcast, which kind of taps into like, my communication skills, my research skills. I've also done some freelance writing in the past and some tutoring.
Excellent. So now take a look at your four circles.
Okay.
Do you see any overlaps?
Okay.
Are there any passions or talents that could potentially, address a need in the world
Mm-hmm.
and be something that you could get paid for.
Okay, this is where it starts to get interesting.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see some potential connections here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And remember, this isn't about finding the perfect answer right away.
Okay.
It's just about sparking ideas,
Right.
exploring possibilities, and starting to get a clearer picture of what your unique Ikigai might be.
This is so cool.
Yeah,
It's like a roadmap for a more fulfilling life.
it is. And one thing that really resonated with me from Fury's book
Yeah.
was his emphasis on the difference between passion and what he calls fleeting joy.
Oh, what does he say about that?
So he argues that fleeting joys like, binge watching a show or, buying some new gadget can provide temporary happiness,
Right.
but they don't really offer lasting fulfillment.
Right. Yeah, I totally get that. It's like that sugar rush you get from eating candy.
Exactly.
It feels good in the moment, but then it just fades so quickly.
Exactly. Passion, on the other hand, is like that deep-seated drive
Mm-hmm.
that sustains you over time.
Right.
It's what gets you out of bed in the morning, even when things are tough.
So how do you know if something is a true passion or just a fleeting joy?
That's a good question. Think about the activities that make you completely lose track of time.
Mm-hmm.
What are the things that you're naturally drawn to, even when you're tired or stressed?
Yeah.
What problems do you find yourself trying to solve, even in your free time?
Right.
Those are all clues that can kind of point you towards your passions.
Mm. This is making me think about all those times I've stayed up way too late researching random historical events
Mm-hmm.
or, got totally lost in writing a short story.
Uh-huh.
I guess those are more than just like random hobbies.
They could be signs of a deeper passion that's just waiting to be explored.
That's pretty cool.
Mm.
Okay, so we've talked about passions and talents,
Mm-hmm.
but what about that whole what the world needs thing? That feels kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like, where do I even begin
Yeah.
with that?
Well, it doesn't have to be overwhelming.
All right.
Start by thinking about your values. What's truly important to you?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of positive impact do you want to have on the world?
Well, I really value things like kindness and compassion,
Mm-hmm.
equality, and, lifelong learning.
Mm-hmm.
I want to live in a world where everyone has the opportunity to kind of reach their full potential.
Those are beautiful values.
Yeah.
So now think about how you can maybe use your talents and passions
Mhm.
to contribute to those values.
Yeah.
It could be through your work, your hobbies, your relationships, or even just, small acts of kindness in your everyday life.
Yeah, you're making me realize that serving others doesn't have to be like this grand gesture. Right. It can be kind of woven into just like the fabric of our daily lives.
Exactly. And when you find ways to serve others in a way that aligns with your passions and talents,
Yeah.
that's where Ikigai really starts to shine.
This is all starting to click.
Good.
Yeah, I'm already feeling really inspired to kind of dig deeper into this whole Ikigai thing.
Awesome.
But what about the practical side of things?
Right.
We all have bills to pay.
Right.
Right. How do we make a living
Yeah.
while also staying true to our Ikigai?
That's a great question, and one that Fury addresses directly in his book. So we're talking about kind of mapping out those 4 key elements, passion, talent,
Right.
what the world needs, and getting paid, and
Mm-hmm.
seeing where those all overlap.
Yeah. Just trying to see how those pieces could fit together, but like, how do I actually turn those overlaps, into a real life path?
Right. Well, Fury has some practical advice on that, and it doesn't necessarily always have to mean like a dramatic career change or anything like that.
Okay.
He suggests that you can look at how you might be able to ikigify your current work.
Ikigai.
Yeah.
I like that.
Right.
So even if I'm not, in my dream job right now,
Yeah.
there are ways to kind of bring in more of that purpose.
Absolutely. Think about it this way. Are there projects that you could take on, at your current job that might better align with your passions?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe ways that you could use your talents to, benefit your team?
Right.
Or even the company as a whole?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
At my job, we have this mentorship program for new employees.
Mm-hmm.
I could volunteer for that.
Yeah.
That would tap into my passion for education and also, my ability to connect with people.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
It's about finding those little pocket of opportunity, within your current role that really resonate with your Ikigai.
Okay. But what if, and hear me out on this, what if your job just feels totally misaligned?
Yeah.
Like you've done the Venn diagram thing.
Yeah.
And there's just no overlap with your work life.
Yeah. That's a valid concern, and Fury acknowledges that, sometimes a career shift really is necessary
Okay.
to truly align with your Ikigai, but he stresses the importance of doing it strategically.
Okay. So no rash decisions.
Yeah.
What's the strategic approach?
Research is key.
Okay.
What other careers exist that might be a better fit? What skills do you need to develop to make that transition happen? And networking is also crucial. Talk to people in those fields.
Yeah.
Go to industry events. Maybe even shadow someone
Right.
to kind of get a feel for the day-to-day.
It's almost like you're approaching a career change as its own mini Ikigai project.
Exactly.
Using, passion and skills and research and
Yeah. And then, of course, there's always entrepreneurship,
right.
which Fury highlights as, another potential path to living your Ikigai.
The idea of like creating something from scratch that's meaningful to you is super appealing,
Yeah.
but also kind of scary.
It definitely has its challenges.
Right.
But for the right person, building a business, that aligns with their values can be incredibly rewarding.
Yeah.
It gives you that control over your work environment
Right.
and the potential to make a real impact.
So we've got all these potential paths,
Yeah.
but ultimately it all comes down to taking action.
Action is essential. Fury emphasizes the importance of setting clear goals
Okay.
and using that SMART framework, which stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
So instead of just saying, I want to start a business,
Yeah.
it's more like, by date, I will have launched an online store selling
Right,
product.
that's the idea. A concrete goal with a timeline
Right.
makes it actionable.
Right.
And then break it down to even smaller steps.
Okay.
So what do you need to do first? Do you need to research e-commerce platforms, create a product prototype?
Right.
Take it one step at a time.
Okay. That makes it feel much less overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, myself included, we struggle with staying motivated.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of Fury's tips for kind of sticking with it,
Yeah.
especially when things get tough?
Well, he suggests finding an accountability partner,
Okay.
someone you can share your goals with and who will check in on your progress.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a friend, a mentor, or even a coach.
Right.
Having that external support can make a huge difference.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Well-
Sometimes you just need someone to kind of like cheer you on or give you a nudge
Yeah.
when you're feeling stuck.
Exactly. He also talks about creating a vision board,
Okay.
a visual representation of your goals.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a collage of images, quotes,
Yes.
anything that inspires you and reminds you of your why.
Okay. I've heard of vision boards, but I always thought they were kind of cheesy.
Yeah.
But I can see how having that visual reminder, front and center could be really motivating.
Right. And then don't underestimate the power of celebrating your wins along the way.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how small way, acknowledge your progress.
All right.
It reinforces that you're moving in the right direction.
Right.
And it keeps you motivated to keep going.
That's a good reminder to not get so caught up in like the big picture
Right.
that you forget to celebrate those little victories.
Exactly. And remember, setbacks are inevitable.
Right.
It's how you handle them that matters.
Mm-hmm.
So Fury encourages cultivating a growth mindset, viewing challenges as opportunities to learn and improve.
So instead of beating myself up over a mistake,
Right.
it's more about asking, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I do better next time?
Precisely. And then finally, self-care is crucial.
Mm.
Pursuing your Ikigai is a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
Make sure you're getting enough sleep, eating well, exercising,
Mm-hmm.
taking time to relax and recharge.
It's so easy to get like so focused on achieving your goals that you kind of neglect your own well-being.
Yeah,
But you can't pour from an empty cup, right?
exactly. Taking care of yourself ensures you have that energy and resilience to keep going
Right.
on your Ikigai journey.
This is all such great advice.
Yeah.
I'm feeling much more equipped to actually put this into practice.
Uh,
But before we move on, I'm kind of curious.
mhm.
You mentioned entrepreneurship as a path to Ikigai.
Yeah.
But what about people who actually find fulfillment in their 9-to-5 jobs?
Mhm.
Can they still find their Ikigai within that context?
That's a fantastic question and one I think a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah.
And the beauty of Ikigai is that it's not one size fits all.
Right.
It's about finding what brings you joy and purpose,
Yeah.
regardless of what your career path might be.
So even if you're not, starting your own business or making like a radical career change,
Yeah.
you can still live a life that feels aligned with your Ikigai.
Absolutely. It's about finding those pockets of Ikigai, within your existing role
Right.
and in your life outside of work.
This makes me think about something you said earlier about like micro Ikigai.
Yeah.
Can you explain that a bit more?
Of course. So micro Ikigai is all about finding those little ways to kind of infuse even the most ordinary moments
Mm-hmm.
with purpose and joy.
Okay.
It's those small, consistent actions that align with your values
Right.
and make
No.
you feel more connected to your Ikigai.
Okay, I'm loving this concept.
Oh, yeah.
So give me some examples. What could micro Ikigai look like in real life?
Okay, so let's say one of your passions is writing, but you work as an accountant.
Mm-hmm.
Micro Ikigai could be carving out 30 minutes each morning
Yep.
to work on a short story or a blog post.
Or maybe, joining a local writing group
Yeah.
to connect with fellow writers and share your work.
Exactly. Or if you really value learning and personal growth,
Mm-hmm.
micro Ikigai could be listening to a podcast during your commute, reading a few pages of a book before bed, taking an online course in a subject that fascinates you.
So it's about finding those little ways to kind of sprinkle those moments of joy and purpose throughout your day, even if you know your job isn't your ultimate dream.
Precisely. And the more you do this,
Yeah.
the more aligned and fulfilled you're going to feel overall.
This has been so eye-opening.
Good.
I'm already starting to brainstorm ways to kind of weave more micro Ikigai into my own life.
Awesome.
But before we wrap up, I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier, which was mindfulness.
Yeah.
How does that play into living Ikigai?
So mindfulness is a really crucial aspect of Ikigai.
Okay.
It's about being fully present in each moment, rather than just rushing through life on autopilot.
So even if I'm doing something I don't necessarily love,
Mm-hmm.
like, washing the dishes,
Yeah,
could I still tap into Ikigai there?
absolutely. Instead of seeing it as a chore, try bringing your full attention to the experience.
Okay.
Feel the warmth of the water. Notice the scent of the soap. Appreciate the fact that you have food to eat and a clean home.
So it's about kind of like shifting your perspective and finding the meaning,
Mm-hmm.
even in those mundane tasks.
Exactly. And when you do this, even those everyday activities can become, more enjoyable and fulfilling.
This is making me think about something else that Fury mentions,
Mm-hmm.
which is flow.
Yeah.
Can you talk a bit about how flow relates to Ikigai?
So flow is that state of complete absorption in an activity
Right.
where time seems to fly by and you're just fully immersed in the moment.
It's that feeling of being in the zone. Right.
Yes.
Completely engaged and energized
Yeah,
by what you're doing.
precisely. And Fury argues that experiencing flow is a key indicator
Mm-hmm.
that you're aligned with your Ikigai.
So if I'm feeling that sense of flow, it's a good sign that I'm kind of on the right track.
It's a very strong indication that you're tapping into something that truly resonates with you.
This is also fascinating. I feel like I'm starting to understand Ikigai on a much deeper level. But there's one more thing I'm curious about.
Mm-hmm.
How do we maintain that sense of Ikigai over time?
Yeah.
Life throws curveballs.
Mm.
Our passions evolve. The world changes.
Right.
How do we stay connected to our Ikigai even when things get messy? Things inevitably change.
That's a question that I think a lot of people grapple with. And the good news is that, Ikigai isn't like this fixed destination.
Right.
It's an ongoing journey
Mm-hmm.
of exploration and growth.
Okay.
It's about cultivating a mindset that allows you to kind of adapt and evolve as you go.
Okay. That makes me feel a little bit better.
Right.
So it's not about finding the perfect Ikigai
Right.
and then clinging to it for dear life.
Not at all. Your passions might shift over time. The world around you will certainly change. New opportunities will emerge.
Right.
The key is to stay curious, remain open to those new possibilities,
Okay.
and be willing to kind of adjust your course as needed.
So it's more about having a compass than a fixed map.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Your Ikigai can act as your compass, guiding you in the right direction, even when the terrain changes.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that? How do we cultivate that kind of adaptable mindset?
Well, Fury offers a few practical tips for navigating those, inevitable ebbs and flows of life.
Okay.
And one is to regularly revisit your Ikigai. Okay.
Think of it like a check-in with yourself,
Hmm.
maybe once a quarter or even just a few times a year.
So dust off that Venn diagram
Yeah,
and see if anything's changed.
exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe you've discovered a new passion, developed a new skill, or maybe the problems in the world that really resonate with you have shifted a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So take some time to reflect on those 4 key elements
Okay.
and see if your Ikigai needs a little recalibration.
That's a good reminder to not get so stuck in our routines that we
Yeah.
forget to kind of pause and reflect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another tip is to embrace lifelong learning.
Mm-hmm.
The more you learn, the more you grow and the more possibilities open up to you.
I love that idea. It kind of keeps things fresh and exciting. And who knows, you might even stumble upon a new passion
Yeah.
or, discover some hidden talent you never knew you had.
Exactly. Fury also talks about the importance of staying connected to your why.
You mean like remembering the reason behind our Ikigai in the first place? Yes. Why is this important to you? What positive impact do you want to have on the world?
Right.
When you connect to that deeper purpose,
Mhm.
it's easier to stay motivated even when you're faced with challenges.
It's like having that North Star to guide you,
Yeah.
even when the seas get rough.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And finally, remember the importance of community.
Mm-hmm.
Surround yourself with people who support your journey, who challenge you to grow, and who celebrate your successes along the way.
Yeah. Having that support system can make such a big difference, especially when you're feeling, lost or discouraged.
Absolutely. Ikigai isn't meant to be a solo mission.
Right.
Sharing your journey with others can make it much more meaningful and enjoyable.
This has been such an incredible deep dive. I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding
Good.
of Ikigai and how to actually make it, a sustainable part of my life.
I'm so glad to hear that. And remember, Ikigai is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's about finding what works for you. Yeah.
And embracing that process of discovery.
So for our listeners who are ready to kind of embark on their own Ikigai journey, what's the one piece of advice you would give them?
I would say start small. You don't have to make drastic changes overnight. Just pick one thing from our deep dive that really resonated with you.
Okay.
And take action. Maybe it's reflecting on your passions, trying a new activity, or finding a way to ikigai your current work. The important thing is to take that first step and see where it leads you.
Beautifully said. And for our listeners, as you continue exploring Ikigai, remember this. It's not about finding some elusive dream job or achieving some grand sense of perfect balance.
Right.
It's about making those choices big and small that align with your values, bring you joy, and allow you to kind of contribute to the world in a meaningful way.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Ikigai, we'll leave you with this final thought-provoking question.
What's one small step you can take today to weave a bit more Ikigai into your life? Embrace that step and watch as your journey unfolds.
Thanks for tuning in to Sam's Summaries. If you found this episode useful, let us know with a like, follow, and share. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to visit samfury.com to get free access to all of Sam's original summaries, which you can download as PDFs, as well as other exclusive content. It's all completely free at samfury.com.